The deconfliction line between the United States and Russia over Syria is one of the more unusual pieces of diplomatic infrastructure that the 21st century has produced. It is a direct military-to-military communications channel, established in 2015 between the U.S. Air Force and the Russian Aerospace Forces, specifically to prevent the two nations' aircraft from accidentally operating in the same airspace over a country where both are conducting operations for different purposes against different adversaries with different legal justifications. The channel works through a joint implementation cell in Amman, Jordan. It handles airspace coordination, altitude assignments, and the specific kind of urgent communication that is required when two very capable air forces find themselves operating in close proximity over a complex battle space, without the luxury of assuming the other side will figure out what they are doing and act accordingly. The deconfliction line has handled approximately 40,000 coordination events since its establishment. Most of them are routine. Some of them are less routine. The one at 1433 today is in the less routine category. USS Gerald R. Ford, CVN-78, the lead ship of the most advanced carrier class in the world, operating in the Eastern Mediterranean as part of a sustained carrier presence operation that has been running continuously since October 2023, has had two F/A-18F Super Hornets on combat air patrol over northwestern Syria since 1315. The mission is a standard Syrian airspace patrol, tasking: maintain observation of the ground situation in the northwestern zone, be available to support coalition forces if needed, maintain the carrier air wing's presence in the airspace that the coalition has been operating in since 2015. Standard tasking, standard crew, standard fuel state management that the lead pilot has been monitoring with the professional attentiveness of someone who knows that the Eastern Mediterranean is a long way from the ship and that fuel state management in this operating environment is not optional. At 1422, the lead pilot's fuel state notation shows that his wingman, the second F/A-18F in the section, call sign Nighthawk 52, has reached bingo fuel. Bingo fuel is the pre-planned fuel state at which an aircraft must immediately turn for home, if it is to land with the minimum required reserve. Bingo fuel is not an emergency. It is a planning threshold established before every mission that reflects the fuel state at which the return trip is still achievable but no longer comfortable. At bingo fuel, Nighthawk 52 should be turning northeast toward the ship immediately. The lead pilot acknowledges the bingo state. He transmits to the carrier. He notes that he will begin his own return in approximately 14 minutes, which is when his fuel state will reach bingo. For 14 minutes, Nighthawk 52 can stay on station. For 14 minutes, the combat air patrol over northwestern Syria consists of one F/A-18F. At 1423, the E-2D Advanced Hawkeye that is orbiting at high altitude over the Eastern Mediterranean and providing the theater air picture to the carrier strike group transmits a new contact alert. The contact is a Russian Su-34 Fullbacks strike aircraft, specifically two of them in a loose combat spread, entering the northwestern Syria airspace zone from the north on a course that will bring them into the deconfliction zone that Russian and American aircraft are supposed to coordinate before entering, and that these two have not. The deconfliction line has not received a notification for this flight. The coordination that 40,000 previous events have established as the baseline for this airspace has not happened. Two Su-34s are heading south into the zone where one F/A-18F and in approximately 14 minutes, 0 F/A-18Fs is currently operating. This is the vulnerability window, not hardware, not maintenance. It is a 14-minute window during which the Syrian airspace deconfliction architecture has a gap and two uncoordinated Russian strike aircraft are heading into it, and the single FA-18F on station is not the interceptor that this situation calls for, but is currently the only interceptor that the situation has. The communication sequence that follows is the thing that makes this morning worth examining in detail, because it is the most compressed and precisely coordinated multinational military response to an aerial near-miss situation in recent Eastern Mediterranean operational history, and it runs through 5 separate communication channels in approximately 9 minutes. The deconfliction line activates at 1424. The American duty officer at the Amman Joint Implementation Cell transmits to the Russian duty officer. 2 Su-34 aircraft are entering the deconfliction zone without prior coordination. Current course will bring them within proximity of coalition CAP aircraft. Request immediate coordination. The Russian duty officer acknowledges the transmission. He will respond. Simultaneously, the E-2D transmits the contact data to Ford via data link. Ford's Combat Information Center receives it at 142408. The tactical action officer reviews the picture. 2 Su-34, bearing 345 from the E-2D's reference position. Altitude 18,000 feet. Speed 480 knots south. No coordination. Filed with the deconfliction cell. 43 miles from Nighthawk 52's current position. The tactical action officer transmits to the strike group commander. The strike group commander transmits to 6th Fleet. 6th Fleet is already aware from their own picture. The chain is fast and practiced and reflects the specific operational tempo of an environment where Russian and coalition aircraft have been sharing Syrian airspace for years. On the Ford's flight deck, 2 FA-18Fs from FA-18 are in the Alert 5 configuration, engines warm, crews in the cockpits, ready to launch in 5 minutes. The Alert 5 aircraft are not specific to this situation. They are the standard alert cycle that the carrier maintains continuously during flight operations. They have been at Alert 5 for 47 minutes. At 1424:30, the strike group commander transmits the scramble order. The Alert 5 aircraft launch from USS Gerald R. Ford at 1426:14 and 1426:21. 7 seconds between the 2 aircraft leaving the catapult. Both aircraft are accelerating northwest. The E-2D is feeding them the Su-34 track data in real time. The intercept geometry is calculated before the first aircraft clears the bow. Nighthawk 52, the Bingo State F/A-18F, currently on station, has been monitoring the deconfliction transmissions and is aware of the situation. Her pilot is making a decision that any fighter pilot in this situation has to make. At Bingo Fuel, with 2 uncoordinated Russian strike aircraft in the deconfliction zone and the Alert 5 aircraft 12 to 15 minutes away from intercept position, does she stay on station or does she turn for home? The rules of engagement do not resolve this question for her. The rules of engagement define engagement authority and hostile criteria. They do not define when a pilot with Bingo Fuel in unresolved airspace deconfliction should extend her time on station. She makes her own assessment. Her own assessment is that she is the asset that is currently between the Su-34s and whatever their routing takes them toward, and that the Alert 5 aircraft are 12 to 15 minutes from useful intercept position, and that she has approximately 8 minutes of fuel above the minimum reserve for a straight line return to the ship. She notes the fuel calculation in her cockpit display. She keys her radio. She stays on station. She will not be there long, but she will be there for the 8 minutes that the math gives her, and 8 minutes is the window between when the Alert 5 aircraft are launched and when the deconfliction line produces a result. And her being there is the thing that keeps the situation from being unobserved during that window. Let us talk about the Su-34 Fullback, because the aircraft that is currently heading south at 480 knots into the Syrian deconfliction zone deserves to be properly understood. The Su-34 is a 2-seat all-weather strike aircraft that entered service with the Russian aerospace forces in 2014, and that has been employed in the Syrian campaign since 2015, where it has conducted both precision strike and conventional unguided munitions delivery missions. It is a credible, capable aircraft. Its side-by-side seating arrangement for pilot and weapons systems officer is unusual in combat aircraft design and gives both crew members excellent situational awareness. Its maximum combat radius of approximately 1,100 kilometers provides genuine strategic range. Its weapons load includes precision-guided munitions and a wide variety of strike weapons that the Russian aerospace forces have employed operationally in Syria. The Su-34 is not a museum piece. It is a modern strike aircraft, doing modern strike aircraft things in a complex airspace. What the Su-34 is not doing correctly this afternoon is the deconfliction coordination that the framework established in 2015 requires. The two aircraft, now 40 miles north of Nighthawk 52, have not filed their routing. They have not transmitted their altitude. They have not done the thing that 40,000 previous coordination events have established as the baseline for operating in this airspace without creating the specific kind of incident that the deconfliction channel was established to prevent. The reason for the non-coordination is not known from the data available at 1424. It could be a communications equipment issue. It could be a crew that departed their base before the coordination window and whose mission planners intended to coordinate en route and have not done it yet. It could be a crew that is operating under a mission protocol that differs from the standard coordination framework. The deconfliction duty officer at Amman does not know and is not in a position to know. He has transmitted. He is waiting for the Russian duty officer's response. The Russian duty officer's response arrives at 1429. The transmission is brief and professional. The two aircraft are conducting a mission in support of Syrian government forces in the northern sector. They are under Syrian Air Force coordination. They will maintain altitude above 15,000 feet and will not enter the zone below that altitude. Please advise coalition aircraft. The transmission is, in its own terms, a coordination transmission. It does not apologize for the lack of prior notice. It does not explain the non-coordination. It provides current routing and altitude information that the coalition aircraft can use to maintain separation. It is the kind of transmission that a professionalism-oriented Russian duty officer produces when his American counterpart has flagged a potential situation. Cooperative, specific, technically adequate. The American duty officer transmits the new information to the E-2D. The E-2D updates the picture. The Su-34s are at 15,200 feet and climbing slightly on a course that will take them into the northwestern sector's strike zone. At 15,200 feet, the Su-34s are 200 feet above the Russian stated altitude commitment of 15,000 feet, which is within the navigational tolerance that the framework has always treated as non-concerning. The American duty officer notes it. He does not escalate. Nighthawk 52's pilot hears the coordination update. She notes the altitude data. She runs the separation geometry. The Su-34s at 15,200 feet and her FA-18F at 16,000 feet have 800 feet of vertical separation, which is less than the 2,000 feet that the framework's standard protocols specify as the minimum for uncoordinated proximity flight in this airspace. 800 feet. The framework says 2,000. There's a difference between those two numbers, and Nighthawk 52 is currently located in the space that the difference defines. She notes this. She transmits her altitude to the deconfliction net. She begins a climb to 18,000 feet to open vertical separation while maintaining her lateral position. The climb costs fuel. The fuel cost is noted. The fuel state at which she must depart for the ship is moving closer. The Alert 5 aircraft from Ford are now 7 minutes from the intercept geometry. The deconfliction coordination is active. The Su-34s have provided altitude information. The situation is managed, not resolved, because managed and resolved are different conditions, and this situation is managed, which means it is not escalating, but it has not yet returned to the baseline. Nighthawk 52 is at 18,000 feet, with approximately 4 minutes of fuel above minimum reserve. She has done what 8 minutes on bingo fuel could do. In 4 minutes, she turns for home. Below decks on USS Ford, the E-2D's tactical picture is being monitored by the carrier's intelligence staff with the specific attention that active multi-party airspace events receive. The Su-34s emissions collected by the E-2D's AN/ALQ-217ESM suite from its altitude of approximately 22,000 feet, have been logging since the contacts were first identified at 1423. The Su-34's Leninets FA-004 active phased array radar is operating in search mode, not targeting mode, not fire control mode, the standard navigation and surface search mode that the aircraft uses for its mission profile. The emissions are in the threat library. The specific waveform parameters the V004 is using in this operational instance are being measured at the E-2D's collection quality. The measurement is useful, more operationally relevant. The Su-34s are also equipped with the Khibiny-M electronic warfare pod, and both aircraft are running their Khibiny-M in passive receive mode, monitoring, not jamming. The passive receive mode is detectable by the E-2D's ALQ-217 because the Khibiny-M's passive receive electronics produce a small but measurable emission, even in passive mode. The ALQ-217 has noted the passive receive status. It tells the intelligence staff that both Su-34 crews are monitoring the electronic environment of the airspace they are entering. This is professionally sound behavior for a crew entering a complex airspace. It is also a collection datum. The Khibiny-M in passive receive mode produces a specific emission signature that the existing threat library entry for the system has not previously characterized at close range from an airborne collection platform at altitude. The E-2D's collection geometry from above and to the east of the Su-34s provides an aspect angle that the existing library entry's ship-based collections could not achieve. The passive receive signature is logged. It goes in the collection record. The Alert 5 aircraft, call signs Patriot 11 and Patriot 12, reach visual identification range of the Su-34s at 1438. The F/A-18F is considerably faster than the Su-34 in a level acceleration from the carrier's approach, and both aircraft are now positioned in the standard intercept geometry, one off each Su-34's wing. Both pilots key their radios. The lead Su-34 crew acknowledges the intercept. The response is professional and brief. The Su-34 crews are aware that they are being intercepted. They are not surprised. They have been in this situation before, in this airspace with coalition aircraft. The intercept is conducted in the specific register of two professional air forces that have been sharing contested airspace for years and have developed, if not warmth, then a working familiarity with each other's procedures. Patriot 11's pilot looks across the airspace at the Su-34. The aircraft is close enough at intercept position to observe clearly. The distinctive side-by-side cockpit, the variable geometry inlet configuration, the specific loadout on the hard points that tells an experienced observer that the aircraft is carrying two Kh-25 laser-guided missiles and 4 FA-500 unguided munitions. The loadout is consistent with a ground strike mission in support of Syrian government forces in the northern sector, which is consistent with the Russian duty officer's coordination description. The pilot notes the loadout. She logs it in her post-intercept notes. The loadout goes in the photographic documentation that she will complete after landing. It goes in the record. The Su-34s continue their routing, descended to 14,000 feet as they begin their approach to the target area, with Patriot 11 and Patriot 12 maintaining escort at the standard separation distance that this airspace's norms have established. The escort lasts 11 minutes. The Su-34s complete their strike run, exit the target area, and turn north. Patriot 11 and Patriot 12 maintain their escort through the exit routing, and then break off as the Su-34s clear the deconfliction zone's northern boundary. The Russian aircraft acknowledge the break. The intercept is complete. Nighthawk 52 landed aboard USS Gerald R. Ford at 1452 with 4.1% fuel remaining, which is above the absolute minimum, but below the comfortable margin, and will be discussed at length in the next mission planning conference as an illustration of why bingo fuel decisions deserve the attention they are given. The pilot's post-flight report is precise. She notes the fuel state at every decision point, the decision to extend, the altitude adjustment for separation, and the 4-minute margin at time of departure. She notes that the Alert 5 aircraft's arrival at 14:38 removed the unobserved window that her extension was intended to cover. The report is professional and unflinching about the numbers. Bingo fuel decisions that work out still deserve to be examined. She understands this. The Electronic Warfare Officer's Collection Summary covers the V004 active phased array radar's waveform parameters in search mode, the Khibiny-M passive receive emission signature from above at the E-2D's collection altitude, and the observation of both Su-34 crews operating their EW systems in receive mode throughout the transit, consistent with professional crews monitoring the electronic environment in contested airspace. The collection summary also includes the loadout observation from Patriot 11's approach. 2 KH-25 for FA-500, consistent with Northern Syria strike mission, which provides the intelligence community's assessment of current Russian munitions usage in Syria with a direct observation data point. The intelligence community maintains running assessments of Russian precision-guided munitions expenditure rates in Syria, and a direct observation from an intercept aircraft is more reliable than inference from strike effects analysis. The full collection report runs to 26 pages. It covers the deconfliction event, the intercept, the emissions collection, the loadout observation, and the behavioral analysis of the Su-34 crew's EW system management during the transit. The report goes to 6th Fleet, to the Air Force's Electronic Combat Division, to the Defense Intelligence Agency's Russian aerospace programs, and via established channels to the French and Italian military intelligence directorates, both of which have aircraft operating in the Syrian theater, and both of which have a direct operational interest in the deconfliction events documentation and the Khibiny-M passive receive signature characterization. The 26 pages are transmitted at 16:41, while Patriot 11 and Patriot 12 are completing their debrief, and Nighthawk 52's pilot is writing her post-flight report. The debrief covers the intercept geometry, the Su-34 crew's professional conduct during the escort, the loadout observations, and the altitude separation during the initial proximity. It produces 32 pages of notes that go to the Air Wing intelligence officer. The intelligence officer adds the debrief notes to the collection report as an appendix. The appendix is useful. Everything is in the record. Now let us discuss what the Russian Ministry of Defense said happened, because the Russian MOD's approach to Syrian airspace incidents has its own specific genre characteristics. The Russian Ministry of Defense released a statement at 1800 Moscow time, approximately 3 hours after the aircraft landed. The statement described a scheduled mission by Aerospace Forces aircraft in support of Syrian Arab Army operations against hostile elements in the northern zone, conducted in strict accordance with applicable deconfliction protocols. The statement noted that coalition aircraft had operated in the vicinity of the Russian mission area, and that Russian crews had maintained professional standards throughout. The statement did not describe the non-coordination at the start of the transit. The deconfliction line notification had arrived at 14:29, 6 minutes after the contacts entered the zone. The statement's description of strict accordance with applicable deconfliction protocols and the deconfliction duty officer's record of a 6-minute gap between zone entry and coordination notification are describing the same morning from different vantage points. The statement also described the coalition aircraft's presence as close approach operations, consistent with both sides' professional conduct in a shared airspace. This is accurate. The intercept was conducted professionally. It is also a characterization that does not include the 4 minutes during which Nighthawk 52 was the only aircraft in the zone with bingo fuel and 800 feet of vertical separation from 2 Su-34s, which is the part of the morning that the mission planning conference at USS Ford will be discussing in detail for some time. The second account from a Russian defense affairs outlet described the sortie as part of the ongoing Russian aerospace campaign in support of Syrian government forces, and noted that American aircraft had been observed in the vicinity. The observation is accurate. The 26 pages are in 4 inboxes. The Khibiny-M passive receive signature is in the threat library. The FA-500 usage data is in the Syrian munitions expenditure assessment. The bingo fuel discussion will continue. Aboard USS Gerald R. Ford, the flight deck is cycling the evening recovery. Patriot 11 and Patriot 12 landed at 15:44 and 15:51. Nighthawk 52's pilot is at her post-flight debrief, going through the fuel state record point by point with the attentiveness that the numbers deserve. The Air Wing intelligence officer is reviewing the collection summary. The photographic package from the loadout observations is being processed. The deconfliction duty officer's log has been submitted. The 26 pages are in 4 inboxes. Everyone who needed to know has been told. The airspace is shared again tomorrow. The deconfliction line is open. The coordination process that has handled 40,000 events, and now 40,001, is operational. The coffee in the strike planning office is from a fresh pot, because the duty officer who was managing the deconfliction event since 1423 made the assessment at 1452, when Nighthawk 52 trapped safely aboard, that the fresh pot was warranted. The assessment was correct. The event is logged. The airspace continues. The bingo fuel discussion will be at 8 o'clock tomorrow. The mission planners are already reviewing the fuel state timeline. Nighthawk 52's pilot is not looking forward to it in the way that people do not look forward to discussions where the numbers are correct and the decisions are defensible, but everyone in the room is going to go through them carefully anyway. She will bring her post-flight report. The numbers are in the report. The decisions are documented. The 8 minutes she stayed on station covered the window. The Alert 5 aircraft arrived. The airspace remained observed throughout. She will make the case for her decision with the specific confidence of someone who knows the numbers and knows what the numbers bought. The mission planning conference will listen. The bingo fuel standard will remain what it is. The next pilot in this situation will have this case study to consider. That is how professional militaries improve. One bingo fuel decision, documented, discussed, and added to the institutional record. 26 pages in 4 inboxes. A Khibiny-M signature that was not in the library before 1423. A fresh pot of coffee at 1452 in the strike planning office. The Eastern Mediterranean this evening, proceeding as the Eastern Mediterranean proceeds. Bye for now.